So I'm just got back from a place, and it's funny how like um there's just so much validation, but they still can override my thoughts in this nonsensical way. I've talked about the tonality of these bottom feeders. They think they're gonna sell off this fantasy they put together where no, we just investigate they are, as if they're not doing the pedophilia type of torture, but somehow these people who do the pedophilia type of torture, who manipulate the thoughts in these pedophilia ways, who manipulate almost all target individuals in these pedophilia ways, have been investigating you. And what you experiencing today is what you experienced when you're a child, and the things we put together, because this is not conditioning. We're not manipulating you. We're not changing your brain to thinking about kids in these ways, and we're not making you experience new version of memories. It's us. They are, and they will speak in these ways, and in my brain they're like, it's the way this person is like, oh my gosh, it's so obvious that they are. Really? They use this tonality, and if you see who's talking, if you see even the people who try to like, it's funny, it's always the most non-believable person, the most obvious bullshitter that try to sound this way. The people who would look a little bit more, they can't even. Of course, they've tried. There's some like, but the overload of validation I have is just too much. You can't make yourself this retarded and be like, no, it's just so obvious. It's so you when you were a kid. And they try to make me think, oh, Papa, remember what you did as a kid? And I'm like, oh, so you want me to somehow think that what you're doing to me is making me think like a child, right? And you're not doing the pedophilia type of torture. You are not changing my memories. You are not doing anything for me to start perceiving things in these disturbing ways. And I should look at you as some investigators who will frame me, who will torture me, but are not manipulating your thoughts in these pedophilia ways. It's you when you're a child with femme fatale. And by the way, there's a lot of women and children with torture. But no, with you, it's our material. It's our stuff. We're not making you think in these ways. And they use these weak lowlifes, the weakest of the weak. The weakest try to make the most femme fatale. Weak as fraudulent. And I'm in the car. I'm listening to this guy, the Dominican guy. He's trying to make me like, they're going to use so small. It's like, I'd rather get killed. Trash ass. I'm listening to all the testimony about what they do to babies and kids. How they do this pedophilia type of torture that almost all target individuals are doing that. Almost all target individuals are tormenting these pedophilia ways. They suffocate infants. This trash, they're daring trash. They dare. Killing kids. I'm listening to that. And guess what? Why is there so many pedophiles in these agencies? Oh, they now maybe because they're doing so much matching. They're out here matching so much. It's like, oh, it's not fair. It's not fair for who? For the people who try to play like we are matching. It's not fair for them, because for me it's fair. You guys are the pedos. Burn them out. Yeah, burn yourself, you trash ass pedos. That's what they keep saying. Burn them. It's like, yeah. Huh. It's awkward, huh? Me there trying to make I see when you were a kid. Just a 14-year-old, yeah. Like just like the 14-year-old is the one in charge of doing this thing to me. Clowns. You're investigating? And they're trying to create these ways of like, no, but what we're doing is finding these creations of many. Hey, out of 1,000, almost all of them say the same thing. They're all pedos, huh? And you guys are protecting kids that happen to have a bunch of pedophiles. Just quinky dink. You just torture children. Quinky dink sexually. To use the genius of the genius. And that was the worst thing, is when I was listening to this mom. I was listening to Mariana's testimony. Mariana's testimony goes into how she tortured, how she's seeing her children, or the children she's teaching, being tortured. Dark energy and every other technology that they use on these kids to break her down. They will torture the kids she's teaching to break her down. It's part of the way they break people down, right? They can break you down, but whoever you care, if you have care for that person, if it breaks you to see them hurt, they will do that. They do whatever, they dare to do whatever they can do to break an individual down is part of this thing. So seeing her kids being tortured hurts her. It messes with her. It's part of her breaking it down. So she talks about 7-year-old autistic kid, suffocated, can't breathe, hurting. Hurt genitals, 7-year-old autistic. 4 5-year-old kids hurt genitals. And then she talked about how they zap this kid's hands. This badass trash. And then when they burn her hands, their hands, they make her think about masturbation. When she's described what happened, it's like, oh, but remember what you did? Talk about me as a child. To counter what I just heard about them torturing kids, burning hands. Going to their fantasy, talk about remember what as a kid what you did. To counter the torture they do to kids by burning their hands. This trash mother with her kids there, of course. Right in hell! You know, they like to... I'm like, oh, okay. Then, she says, a 3-year-old that she's teaching, so also grab his crouch area and looks up in pain. I'm like, I'm listening and I know she has kids there. I was like, you bunch of fucking lowlifes. Imagine they torture your children this way. You nasty trash. And they'll try to tell you what you did as a kid. And they have to exaggerate that. As I'm listening to kids being tortured by this technology that this lowlife developing, improving. These people doing this thing to me have hurt and are hurting children. But I understand. It's not their children. It's unfortunate for these children that are being tortured by them. Let's block that out. Let's counter it. Let's just counter it, but talk about me when I was a kid. Try to exaggerate the thing I did as a kid. In 8th grade. Burning hell. I'm listening to what they do to children. Well, so if I burn in hell or die in hell or rot in hell, what should happen to somebody like you? Who's in a program that does this to babies? Do you understand? You trash us. Imagine your babies this is what they were doing to them. Forget about the psychological nasty manipulation they do. Imagine the torture of these children. As psychological torture for you. And they use this weak low life. Like, oh my God, try to dismiss it. You see them, they're broken down already as just human beings. These people just find strength in doing this to people, and then like find strength like, yeah, it's our world. Yeah, fucking low life. I don't really let them live any escapism at all. For all the women they've been torturing, the babies they've been torturing, and the pedophilia type of torture, the way they've rewired people. And I'm listening to, of course, Jackie, may she rest in peace, saying exactly what I've said. Try to change you, try to make you think in these pedophilia ways. Oh, quinking? Oh, they are. Yeah, they are. You're right. There's a pattern here. A straight, linear pattern. Zoom as obvious as it gets. It's just like, what? Just as obvious. There's nothing more obvious in life. Matter of fact, you have to make yourself so dumbed down to escape from the obvious pattern that you're seeing. This is not some BS story about the work or whatever they try to change. Almost all target individuals experience child porn in their mind. This target individual says they literally try to change me and make me think in this pedophilia way. Oh, this woman says, oh, they make me smell baby father, and they make me have this pedophilia type of torture. Huh? This woman in Florida is like, hey, they do these things in my erections and then aim it toward children. Huh? Is there enough to think that maybe they do pedophilia type of torture? Or maybe it's not linear enough. Or it's non-linear. Maybe me is different. It's our money. You trash us. No, me is they match it to me when I was in 8th grade. And then been matching more and more. Even my memories have been matched and mapped. And we don't do the pedophilia type of torture because we're using our own money, our own material, and look at the genius that we're using. The neighbors, they're not like the neighbors Jackie was talking about, like, oh, I don't know if there's people around doing this. I don't know. I just don't want it. Traumatized individuals. I've seen grown, intellectual, smart people dumbing themselves down to try to create this, block out this reality. Find yourself lucky. These grown, sensible, intellectual, professional people have dumbed themselves down to to the level of these neighbors that are almost childlike people, and try to use this different language and try to sound such a, it's like, it was just the correlation is just not linear. Huh. And then try to talk about work that has nothing to do with my targeting. And it's like, wow. This is what being compromised, and this is what, when you sold your soul to these entities, you see a grown man and woman smarter than you become as illogical and as a spectrum, like as this kid next to you. You have an excuse for these kids. They're just bottom feeders. They're like, there's nothing else they have to worry with. They're looking for something to make them feel special. You grown-ass men and women, trash. It's like, no, oh, see you when you, and they're like, masturbate, try to talk about me as a kid. He's like, oh, really? That suffocates. Oh, you do that to me, but you don't do that. Okay. Oh, don't manipulate. Don't do pedophilia type of torture. Sounds familiar. No, they are. It's me when I was a kid. Not the pedophilia type of torture that almost 1,000 target individuals who were surveyed said that they're experiencing. You're right. You're right. These bottom feeders, I will never let them escape. And guess what? Just to add the cherry on top of everything, you know who's checking on you and verifying and matching and checking the correlations? Yes, these entities happen to have a bunch of pedophiles in their agencies. And guess how? They're doing so much matching that they found thousands of child porn on the government devices. Pedos.